Well, it turns out we've actually gone and fucking done it. There's a football channel. I expect about exactly zero crossover between this channel and my other two channels, which are more media analysis based. If there are any football people watching this who don't know me from anywhere else. But fuck it. I spend goddamn how many hours a week? 16 hours a week minimum. Usually watching every game every week. I fucking keep up with the news constantly. I'm fucking watching a bunch of fucking pundits talk about this shit. May as well fucking use some of that knowledge. I feel like I know a lot more about fucking football than most of the other shit I talk about, so why put that all to waste? And that's basically the motivation for being here doing this with the NRL Weekly Wrap-Up Round 16 2021, Season 2021. I don't know if there's going to be a subtitle, but if there is, it's going to be Are the Knights and Titans back? Exclamation point, question mark. In brackets, that is. I want this to be a weekly thing under an hour. Look, I have my little sticky note here to tell me what to say. Go over some news to begin with, looking back at the round that just happened, and then looking forward to the next round, which is a little different because State of Origin obviously is coming up, not this week, but next week. Though, is it this week technically now? No, it is next week. Next, nearly exactly a week. Probably exactly a week when this gets uploaded, because God knows when I'm going to get around to doing that. So, looking forward to round 17 will be shorter than it usually is. Hopefully this is all about an hour. I can bloviate, I can go on tangents. It happens a lot. Let's try to keep that to a minimum. But this would be the basic structure. Talk about news, then the last round, then the next upcoming round. I think we should just jump in. I guess, should I do a round like a wrap-up? I'm a Titans fan. Second team would be the Dragons. They were who I supported before the Titans came into the competition when I was, 2007, when I was 6 years old. So usually that's where my biases will lie. The Dragons and the Titans are my two favorite teams. After that, it used to be the Panthers, but that's just not fun anymore. When the Panthers were perpetual fucking chokers, that was fun. Now, fuck the Panthers. Who cares about them? I like the Eels currently. I'm down to Eels. I was brought up to absolutely despise the Broncos, but they've sort of been beaten down so much you sort of cheer for them every week anyway. That's the same with the Tigers. Cowboys I'm not too hot on. Tangentially, the last two seasons have been a pretty big Raiders fan. Just because they're the underdog contenders for the premiership. That's sort of shifted, easy for me to say, to the Seagulls now. So I am liking Manly a little bit. I have 400 reasons to be liking Manly since I put a tip on them to win the premiership. Right after they beat the Titans the first time. So Turbo had been back literally a day. And I was like, fuck it, they might do it. And they're very big outside favourites so far because this is when Manly was on the horror run. They'd only won once that season before he came back. So I was like, fuck it. If this pays off in the end, it'll be nice. So he's hoping to that. Though this week, that's a big scoreline. They've just gone into fifth, I believe. But let's go through news real quick. Again, an hour. This has to be fast. It always scrolls down in my Broadwalk Empire talking points. I'm recording that after this. Footy ENT is the name of the channel. That's all I could think of. But after that, the Dragons party fucking thing happened this week. Paul Vaughan has been sacked, which is interesting. You're not going to get a lot of moral outrage out of me. Dragons stupid. They've always been stupid. Vaughan being sacked is very interesting where he'll end up. I don't think anybody will sign him until the end of the year and like the heat's died down and hopefully COVID has died back down a little bit. In terms of where Vaughan could go, the Warriors are picking everybody up at this point. They've got Matt Lodge in their team this week. It's a big in. Him and Fanua Blake in the front is a sizable fucking pack. I don't know. The Roosters maybe could use another prop, though. Takiaho and Jared are there. Jared's not long for his career, you would think. Jared's got to be nearly 30, right? If I could spell his name, I'd Google it right now. But Storm don't need front rowers. They make them. Panthers don't need any more. I don't think the Eels are in the market. Maybe Manly, that'd be interesting. Maybe the fucking Titans. Titans should be throwing their money at fucking Finucane, don't you think? Everybody's talking about the Tigers and things like that. Maybe you'll end up at the Tigers. They need they need players, but they're trying to fix their culture, if we can use that word. And I don't think serial culture pest Paul Vaughan would be the ideal choice there. Maybe the Broncos. Again, they're trying to do a thing with culture. Ben Eichen is now in charge there. I don't think he's very fond of what's probably happened out of the Dragons. Maybe the Knights. There are options for him. He'll end up somewhere. He's a good player when he wants to be. He actually played pretty well for them against the Warriors, but very stop and start like a lot of the Dragons. Also got the ladder. We can go over all these things. But that's the news. No, that's the first bit of the news. The David Fifita trial, the judiciary trial has just been happening. I think it just came out that he won't be playing Origin this week. Not that big yet. David Fifita has been found guilty. Permit is out of Origin 3. Francis Molo is set to replace him on the bench, having been named as 18th man. Well, David Fifita, not a lot of impact in State of Origin so far. I really have no hope for him, even as a Titans fan, to be a game breaker in State of Origin, or even in club football for that fucking matter. So I don't think it's that big of an out. Francis Molo will do the same job, probably better because he's a usual middle. Not really cause for alarm, I don't think. What other news things? James Fisher-Harris has re-signed long-term with the Panthers, who's making way. This has been a talking point recently. It's officially happened till like 2026, which is a pretty good pickup. I feel like Api Coruscant is going to be the one cut out. I think he's still signed next season, until the end of 2022, I think I read. I think I saw him, kick out, and Dylan Edwards all are off contract at the end of next year, and to make money, because apparently Fisher-Harris got a fucking sizable sum to re-sign. They could part with Dylan Edwards and Api Coruscant and still be fine, as long as they keep Luai and fucking Cleary. They've got two young, many choices at fullback. Stephen Crichton could become a permanent fullback. Charlie Staines apparently is he was the fullback last week, but apparently he's being set up in that position. They let Dane Laurie go. I don't know. There are options there. Kickout, I think they'll definitely re-sign, but also Api Coruscant. They've got Mitch Kenny coming through. They seem to fire fine when he's there. He's only going to get better, you would assume. Plus, they still have Api next season. They might be 2 premierships deep by then. I don't know. Api's going to need more money because goddamn is he playing well, especially last year. He's been out with injury a little bit this year, so he hasn't been hitting as hard. Hold on, I just want to check that everything's going good. We're recording, the audio's capturing. That's all we need. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out. Like, with the Panthers, they're not going to be able to keep everybody because they got everybody when they were super young and weren't demanding a lot of money. Mansour already made way last year. He's on a big sum of money from what I understand. Well, was at the Panthers and now is even at the Rabbits, where he is lucky to make the team. So something's going to happen with the Panthers. They have this window. We're starting to learn with the Raiders that the window is very much real. Not everybody is the Roosters and not everybody is the Storm. They're not going to be there every year forever. Though Panthers do have the fucking junior system and everything to bring new players through. So maybe they will be. Maybe they've set themselves up well enough to stick it out even if they lose Edwards and Api potentially. But those are 2 players out of their spine. It'll be interesting. It's interesting right now because they don't have halves for the foreseeable future, for the short-term foreseeable future. So it's an interesting time for the Panthers. They were on easy streak the whole beginning of the season, but now they're really being tested with Origin and injuries and things like that. We aren't talking about State of Origin here on this week's episode. I'm going to talk about it in a separate video about State of Origin and if Queensland can win Game 3. And the team and all that sort of stuff. So we're not going to talk too much about State of Origin in any depth here. Hoping to do that in a different video. There's 2 big videos I have planned besides this one, which would be the first in a weekly thing. I've got 2 main video ideas. I want to do top 20 games of the season so far. I listed out yesterday, actually. I went through and listed out, and I found 22. It was really going to be a top 10. Then, I may as well make it a top 20. I was thinking top 25, but I didn't want to artificially put 3 games in there. I just went back through the draws on fucking NRL.com and was like, I remember that game. That game was good. And listed them throughout, because I've seen most of the games this season. I probably missed, less than 20. out of the 100 or so that have happened. No, I've missed less than that, I'd say. But yeah, whatever. I've seen most of them. So yeah, I've got that and a State of Origin video. Plus, we could do a video after the State of Origin, looking back at it, or we could include that on a weekly thing. We'll see how things roll out. So let's look back at round 16 right now. How long have we been going so far? Are we making good time? 10 minutes only. All right. I feel like we're making good time. We opened the round last Thursday, July 1st, if you can believe it, with this fucking blowout from the Storm against the Roosters. Now, the Roosters are an interesting case right here. The Storm are fucking on fire right now. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, this is in Newcastle, which it wasn't planned to be. I think it was supposed to be at the SCG. Remember a great game these two had at the MCG in that prelim in 2019. Pappenhausen got knocked out. Cooper Cronk's final game against the Storm, it was a good time. Teamless. Now, if I remember correctly, there were some outs. Suwali didn't do too well in the wing. He got caught in. I think he's clearly a centre. Ikavalu, I think this week, I think Suwali isn't in the team this week, but he never is. He's always named at 21st man and then gets brought in. Lucky Lamb, Sam Walker, they've got most of them in. Sam Verrills looked very promising in 2019. Then he got injured last year. I don't know if he's really gotten back to that level yet. He was obviously injured and out for 8 weeks this year with a snapped retina or whatever, a fucking eye injury. Retina, not retina. So I know there's some interesting things. Plus, it's Origin back up. It'll be interesting to see how exactly the Roosters head into the finals. Drew Hutchinson is back. I don't even remember seeing him. But the Storm are just firing. Nico Hines is unbelievably good. Heading to the Sharks next year, of course. And it's just that backline is fucking insane. Remus Smith this year. Jesus Christ. George Jennings. You just plug them in and they play in the fucking Storm thing. In the Storm team. Harry Grant isn't even here. Brenton Smith continues to outdo him, I think, this year. Harry Grant is another interesting thing. I feel like he'll really shine towards the back end. The Storm might go back-to-back. It'll be interesting if we get the Roosters back-to-back, then the Storm back-to-back in 4 years running. And then before that it was the Storm again. Fucking the Sharks are the last team that wasn't one of these two idiots to win the goddamn premiership. I mean, everybody's saying that it's a 2-horse race, and then everybody says, well, Manly is the dark horse, and I really feel like that might be the case. Unless Parramatta can string some fucking shit together, I feel like that has to be the case. We'll see how Manly does. Manly did, with Turbo, have a match against the Panthers where they really didn't do all that much. It was if I remember, it was 4-18 was the final score. Panthers going over, so I don't know. We'll see. That was the third week Turbo was back, though. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, especially Manly go up against the Storm whenever that happens. But this game was a surprising blowout. Maybe it's the call for the Roosters that'll never happen again. We'll see. The Roosters are a very interesting case to watch. Both of them are going forward. The Roosters have now slipped to 6th, right? I don't see anybody catching the top 6 right now. I could see Manly pushing into the top 4. I could see the Rabbits fucking dropping out. These Rabbits, I don't know what's going on with them. But really, most of the competition is looking at the bottom fucking 2 teams in the 8. And there's kind of a duel for the minor premiership, though. The Storm would have to do a lot to fuck it up at this point because the Panthers aren't looking so hot for the next 4 to 5 weeks or so. I don't know how long Luai's out, actually. This Dragons game was fucking insane. Somehow they came back and won it and then fucked everything up. Nobody remembers this game now since all the Dragons talking points are on other things. Chad Townsend goes for the very stupid field goal, fucks everything up. Corey Norman was having a shocking fucking conversion night and then he kicked one. It was a fun match. It was kind of a clusterfuck, as often both these teams are. The Dragons are so fucking interesting this year, especially since that fucking goddamn match against the Eels. If that match against the Eels never happened, the Dragons wouldn't even be in consideration. They're definitely dropping out of the top 8. They ain't got shit. And now they've basically fucked it for themselves with half their players being out, especially Lomax, who was about to come back. I don't know. Their juniors are talented from all hopes. Norman will be out 1 week, which probably means Sutherland will finally get a start. Ben Hunt will be in Origin. No, they've got to bye this week. I don't know. I don't know if Clune will get many games. Clune is probably their best fucking half. Everybody's going on about Ben Hunt, especially in this game when I thought Josh Maguire had a surprisingly really good game and Paul Vaughan was playing pretty fucking well, even though he's played his last game for the Dragons, it seems. But Josh Maguire has been playing terribly all year, I thought, especially even for the Dragons, just weak hit-ups and not really making many meters. In this game, he was firing pretty well, so that was interesting. I think he was at the party, though, right? He's suspended for one of these weeks. They get to stammer the weeks, though, so it'll be interesting. You'd probably rest Lomax the first one, since maybe he's not fully injured. You could claim he's fully healed from his injury and then use the extra week's rest. Lomax coming back is a big help. Ben Hunt not being suspended is a pretty big help, though he could fucking get injured in Origin. He's going to be playing 80 minutes in the middle, so I don't know. Everybody's always crying about the young Dragons, right? The Dragons juniors are always the best fucking blokes ever coming through because Dragon supporters love to complain about how they never keep any of them and half the team is full with old Broncos. Now is their time to stand up. We saw in the Raiders game, they had a different fullback. Dufty is also getting suspended one of these weeks. Dallin is still in his fucking Bulldogs outfit over here. I don't even remember seeing him that much in this game. So yeah, it'll be interesting. The Ferengi twins, I think one of them's injured, right? The other one will probably come in because Jared Beale is also one of the ones that will be suspended. It depends on how they stagger it and everything. It'll be very interesting. The Dragons, again, the season is not over. Sometimes we come out of Origin and the season is we see where it's going. We're kind of just waiting for finals to happen. There's still a lot of interesting shit to happen this year. What will the Warriors do? Reece Walsh is back this week. Can they start firing? The Dragons, do they somehow make it through this? And because of that month where they just won every game, and I was talking about that Eels game and I never really got around to fucking making my point about it, but just they played like fucking the Storm and the Panthers in that goddamn game. Beat fourth, destroyed them really, and just showed that they can fucking beat anybody basically if they fucking get everything right. But they never get everything right. But they can, and maybe they will, which is always a speculation. And we'll see where they go moving forward. And the Warriors are still in contention, right? I'm still holding out hope that the Titans are going to make the 8. The Warriors are on the same points as them. Titans and the Knights are the only ones in this cluster that have a bye this week, plus the Dragons. The Dragons might get in just because of that month where they were really strong. It's ramping up. It's interesting between, if you want to still include the Raiders, between 7th and 13th. The Tigers are done. The Broncos don't have a chance. The Bulldogs, obviously not. Everybody above 6th, they're in, including 6th. It's fun. Football's fun. We'll see how this all plays out. This Panthers game was interesting. I can't believe the Eels really should have won this fucking game. Again, Moses had to kick to win. He didn't kick it, still gets picked for Origin. Everybody's making fun of him for that. I felt at the beginning the Eels were doing pretty strong, and they sort of just fell away. I'm struggling to remember a lot of things about this game, to be honest. All I remember is the goal at the end and the miss. The Eels are at like 100% right, and the Panthers aren't. They really, if they wanted to make a claim this year, they really had to win this game. Hayes Dunster is still in. We haven't seen Blake Ferguson back yet. I wonder if that'll happen. There were talks about him going to rugby. We'll have to see. Matt Burton has been interestingly underwhelming, I think. His running game is really strong, but everything else, we've seen it like last year, and I don't know, he seems to be working very well as a center, but as a half, it's very interesting how he's falling short a little bit, I think, of everybody's kind of expectations. In terms of like young halves coming up, I think Josh Schuster is clearly gone ahead of him of like the most exciting prospect. Though Josh Schuster hasn't played in like a month. these fucking goddamn Eels are at full strength. Junior Paulo came off the bench, right? Yeah. I mean, they're not playing fucking Hipgrave. That's their big issue. Former Titan, champion, fucking Hipgrave. He's a fucking mongrel by all accounts. I don't know. It's real disappointing that the Eels didn't win this one. They already beat the Storm earlier in the year. If they had beaten the Panthers in the season, like, as well, it would have been, like, confidence. Because I always felt, especially going into last year's final series when the Eels finished third and they go into the first week of the finals and they're versing the fucking Storm, and it's like they have no hope. For whatever reason, nobody thought the Eels could beat the Storm because they just hadn't beaten the Storm yet. Because if you remember the year before that in the finals also, they got beaten like 26-0 by the Storm and got kicked out of the finals in 2019 like that. So it was like, but then earlier this year in like round 2 or something, without Harry Grant, I think it was a full strength Storm team, because Cameron Smith obviously wasn't there because he retired earlier this year. And it was like, this is the fucking time. Like, yes, and they did it. And it was like, oh, maybe the Eels will actually be contenders this year. When it comes finals time, we won't just count them out. Though their run into the finals last year was pretty horrible. They couldn't fucking score a try to save their lives. And I feel like this was another one of those things. If they come up in the first week of the finals with Penrith, which they very much might if they end up in third or if Penrith end up in first, it's just going to be like, the Eels can't be the Panthers, I don't think. Whereas with the Storm, maybe they can because they have the confidence from earlier in this year. And I think they beat the Roosters as well. Like, they've claimed some scouts this year. I think the Rabbits beat them, though. And Manly did too. It's just like, I don't know. The Eels, everybody seems to not believe in the Eels, even Eels fans, and it's interesting. This would have been a big boost in their credibility come finals time, especially since this is their third year in the row, really being at the top of the fucking chart in terms of the ladder. I mean, this is actually the only game we're going to move on here. We can't bag on Parramatta too long. This is actually the only game I didn't watch. I knew it was going to be a blowout, and I was going to sleep in, so I was like, fuck it. I don't need to get myself out of bed to watch a 66-0 fucking thrashing. Pretty obvious. Look at fucking Ruben Garrick here. Saab gets 3. Did Garrick get 3 or just 2? Tom got fucking 3. Sipley got 2. Jesus Christ. And Carl Lawton got 1. 11 tries to 0. Just a blowout. Manly continue to build on their fucking confidence. Hopefully some of it rubbed off on fucking DCE. There's not much to say here. I only watched the highlights after the fact. I didn't actually see the game. I know the Bulldogs had to debut a bunch of people because they have a bunch of players out because of COVID breaches. Actually, let me look at the team list real quick. Which probably wasn't fun for them. I do like Nick Meaney as a fullback, though. Doesn't seem to have worked out too well for him. Corey Allen was back this game. Corey Allen played State of Origin as a fullback in Game 3 last year. Most of that game, he was at fullback. The winning decider, and now this year he's playing a reserve grade, or Interest Super Cup, or whatever it's called, for most of the year. It's interesting. I don't know, don't go to the Bulldogs. I don't know. The fucking Bulldogs. What a case. We'll have to see how they pull themselves out of it. Kyle Flanagan now playing at 6 with Jacko Varillo at 7. I don't know how that's going to work out. Hetherington is fun. Don't know if he's the most reliable choice. I do like Lachlan Lewis too, though. But there you go. Bulldogs not exactly lighting the world on fire this season. They're probably going to end up with the wooden spoon, considering the Broncos. But yes, the first 4 games of this round weren't too interesting. These 2 Golden Point games, I guess, were exciting. The first game wasn't, and this game wasn't. But then these 3 games were really the highlights of the round for me. I'll give you a fucking... I bet you can't guess why this one was. The Titans finally back scoring big points against the Raiders, no less. Earlier in the season, the Titans couldn't score a fucking point in that Raiders game, and the only thing we have is attack. No defense, but we got attack. And fucking earlier in the season against the Raiders, where was it? Was it also at GIO Stadium? Is that possible? Or was it on the Central Coast or something? I don't think it was at Siba Super Stadium. I don't remember, but it was like 4-20 or something was the final score, or 4-18. And I remember just being frustrated that they couldn't score to fucking save their lives that game. And how the times have turned, and how the tides, not the times, have turned in fucking 3 months. Because Jesus Christ, 44-6. If you had told me that the Titans would beat the Raiders 44-6 at the beginning of the season, I'd think we were in fucking first. Because the Raiders obviously are in the top 4, right? I mean, you don't need to hear me talk about whatever the fuck is going on at the Raiders. Everything's in a clusterfuck. Everything's in shambles. I don't see them in any way making the finals. But these fucking useless fucking Titans might be giving me some hope at the back end here. Patrick Herbert has started. I thought he was kind of a liability early in the season. If you look up like most penalties are given this season, he's like at the very top. He was giving away penalties all the time. I don't know. He was leaking some. There was one game. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember thinking, fucking Patrick Herbert is useless out on that center. But these last 2 weeks, he's really been fucking shit up. And Brian Kelly is obviously like the best player in our team. So we got some decent centers going on here. One's a New Zealander, one's from fucking Manly. So not helping out Queensland here at all. But Kevin Proctor even played this game well, and goddamn is he useless most of the time. David Fafita, this might make it look like he did a lot. I don't really remember him doing much else but that one run in this game. David Fafita, we're learning this in State of Origin as well, is not really a game breaker. He's not going to win you any games. On the front foot, he's pretty good, but he can't really turn the tides. Maybe he'll become a player like that, though I don't have faith in the Titans to cultivate him into a player like that. Proctor got 2 fucking tries this game, goddamn. Mo got a try. You gotta love Mo. Now that's a game breaker right there. Get you in the lead from the behind, you know? Fucking Fodawaker. Thank God he's playing Origin now. He only played 1 Origin game last year, which was in game 2, and I thought it was like, fuck me. He was in the one game where we got smashed, but I guess we got smashed twice this year and he was playing. But in the first game, Fodawaker was clearly Queensland's best player. Second game, I don't know. He wasn't as much of an impact, but Mo's fucking incredible. Fogarty was playing really well this game too, especially his running game, which I haven't expected. Last year, everybody was very high on Fogarty, including me. But this year, there's been some struggles. I don't know. It's felt like, oh, maybe he's just like a stopgap before and we can buy another halfback. But in this game, he seems to have laid claim. Look at these fucking 6 out of 8 goals down here to that spot, and he played really well. So it's interesting. Philip Sammy is another one who I go back and forth on. Like, he'll have a terrible game, and this game he was pretty good. I know the Titans, a lot of them are fucking stop and start. Can be great one week, not the best the next week. Like AJ had an out of this world game this game. It got him selected in Origin again. But like AJ most of the year, like at the back end of last year, AJ was fucking killing everybody. That one game where he just killed Ponga like 7 times in the second last, was it the very last game of the season? I think it was, because everybody was saying the Knights fucked up and gave away a home final because they lost that game to the Titans where they just got smashed. And AJ like ran around him 4 times to score 17 fucking tries or some miracle shit. And he was doing that consistently. He beat like, Tommy Turbo came back in like round 18 of last year and he got injured again immediately and AJ just fucked on him the whole game. That didn't happen this year when he came back, I'll tell you that. But just like, AJ was firing at the back end of last year, and it got him selected as the fullback without Ponga there in game 1 of last year's State of Origin, where he was firing again, and then he got injured. But this year, he really hasn't been doing that. The one match we had against the Knights, he did like fuck on Ponga again a little bit. Not as much as he had before. But outside of that, this year AJ hasn't really, he's been injured a lot. He's had a sore knee apparently. But really, he hadn't been playing as well. And the signs were showing this game that he can play that well again. And hopefully he does for Queensland. You could say that about the whole backline. But there's 3 key ins in this Titans game that I think is where that form at the beginning of this year sort of came from, that are like a massive ins. And that's Corey Thompson, who's the fucking greatest winger I ever saw in my life. God damn it. This idiot's breaking tackles like it's nobody's business. He probably should have been selected for goddamn Queensland this week, though Xavier Coates somehow had a great game last time. So he sort of forced himself to be selected. And Val Holmes is fucking the greatest winger in the world when he wants to be. So poor Corey didn't get a selection, but fuck me, is he great. Ashley and Jamal were playing okay. Jared Wallace has started playing really well this year. I thought for sure he was going to be one. Like, the Titans got rid of like 7 of their players last year. Like 7 of the like salary cap eating up idiots. Like Bryce Cartwright, Shannon Boyd. Was that his name? I think it was. There was a bunch of other ones. Proctor was on that list, Peachy was on that list, and Wallace was on that list. And they're all playing pretty well right now. They've sort of pulled their fucking thumbs out, especially Wallace and Peachy. Proctor is very fucking hit and miss. Aaron Clark I like at hooker, but it's to get back to the three fucking players I was talking about, Corey Thompson came back, AJ was firing, he was the second. And then fucking Sam Lasoni is fucking incredible off the bench. He is a big fuck, and he will run through these idiots. And it's great to see. Last year, towards the middle of the season, Mo and Lasone were our starting props, and they were just really well. It was just like every game we would win like the first 20 minutes, and then they'd get subbed off, and we'd get rolled. I think Wallace wasn't even getting selected at that point last year. And that sort of came, and then I think Lasoni got injured last year, and he's been injured for like 8 weeks this year. But goddamn, I feel like him and Corey Thompson plus AJ firing is like an incredible mix for the Titans. Just in terms of hit-ups. Like, Lasone will just run, especially off like dropouts, just run 30 meters straight fucking as fast as he can and just smash into people. I love Sam Lasone. He's going fucking great. Everybody likes to hype up Jolliffe. I don't know. I don't see it as much as other people, but he's doing well. I think I like him more as a bench. Last year he was starting a lot, and I didn't think he was as good as a lot of the other props like Lasone, but now he's doing well. Bo Firma is also interesting. I feel like they're grooming him to replace Proctor, which I like. He's pretty good at tackle busting. A lot of these smaller dudes are really good at breaking tackles, and I think it's mostly because of their low center of gravity and things like that, and their balance. AJ's like that a lot, where he'll just run through people and he'll brush off hits, and it's because he's fucking goddamn 5'3". I think Thompson is a lot like that too, and Bo Firma is very small, I think, for a second rower, but he's a lot like that, where he gets the ball in space and he breaks a few tackles. Peachy I like more as a starting lock. More than Tino. Tino is an interesting case. He was playing pretty well at the beginning of the season. Again, in State of Origin, he's not doing all that much. And I don't know. I don't know about the biggest signings. All I know is Mo and fucking Lasone are our biggest fucking props, I think. Wallace starting, he has the ball skills. If anything, he might be a 13. But the Titans, it'll be interesting to see. We've got a bye this week, so that's another 2 points, which is nice. But I think coming out of that, we got Parramatta first week back. That'll be a big test to see if we're fucking around out here and we're going to lose by 40 points again in the second half, where fucking Manly score 50 points on us. Embarrassing. Or if we can actually fucking do something this year. Because it seemed like we had fumbled it. It seemed like there was all this hype coming into the season. Everything was fucked. Maybe we can pull ourselves out heading into the finals with a healthy roster, considering hoping AJ doesn't get fucking injured or something in State of Origin again. Fafita and Tino take him or leave him. Keep Mo safe, though. This was also another fun game, which was just Ponga coming back and the Knights really showing some shit here. The Cowboys. There was about 4 weeks ago, in that like 4-week period, the Cowboys looked like they were firing. Before Clifford left, it looked like they were going to fucking make the 8. They were going so strong. Things had finally started to come together. I think they won a bunch of games without Tamalolo. They were doing so well. And they get rid of Clifford, bring Dearden in, and it feels like the Cowboys from the beginning of the season again, where they don't really have their connections. They're not playing that well. It's just awkward with the Cowboys right now, like literally 0 points. And this was a setup, right? This was a fucking ambush. Ponga was back. Dominic Young I like a lot out on the wing. He's doing some damage, very big body. Him and Edric coming back would be very destructive, though I don't know what they do with Heimel Hunt then. Connor Watson, I think the commentator said this would have been a Fox game, I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about how Connor Watson now doesn't have to really run the team since Pierce and Ponga are back. Kurt Mann is in the centers, who was another potential half playmaker. Jake Clifford is also steering him around. So Connor Watson just gets to come on and just fuck around and run the football and have fun, and it seems like he's very destructive when he does that, and that seems to be showing off a lot here. Connor Watson is fun too. The Saifidi brothers, starting them together seems to be working. I know what's the coach's name? Adam O'Brien has talked about that. The Knights have a great fucking team, and they should be in this goddamn 8. preferably, considering the Dragons are probably going to fall out of the 8, the Knights and the Titans making the 8 this year would probably be my favourite best case scenario. Brodie Jones is playing well too. Clemmer coming off the bench. I'm sure he's not happy with that, but I feel like it works. The Hammer nearly scored the greatest try any of us had ever saw. I feel like the Cowboys were working so well. Didn't they smash the Knights like 5 weeks ago? Like, Val was finally working at fullback. I don't know if Origins fucked him up. Kyle Felt, I had like in such high regard before he played 2 Origin games and stunk the place up. Bowen here is playing really well in the centers. The Hammer is doing really well. Talungi, I think that's how you say him, he was just smashing people. I think it was against the Knights or the Warriors. He was just fucking scoring tries like it was fucking nobody's business. Scott Drinkwater was playing super well. And Tom Dearden, I actually thought he was pretty good at the Broncos. I thought he should have been their starting 7 most of the time over Croft. But just at the Cowboys, he seems to be ruining things. He seems to have fucked everybody's mojo up, or the connections have been fucked up, or the linking. I don't know what's going on here. Jordan McLean has been a perpetual disappointment since signing with the Cowboys. Reece Robson's doing well. I like Condon. I think he was playing really well, and then he got dropped. Tamalolo also has been an interesting case this year. Granville coming off the bench is fun. Cohen Hess in the front row seems to have fixed all his problems. Francis Molo. And Lukey is pretty good too. This is their young, half, right? They played him against the Panthers last year and he was killing people. I think he's named at fullback this week. It'll be interesting to see how that shows out. I also don't think fucking, what's his face? Chad Townsend is, really good at all. I don't know. I feel like Clifford, they definitely should have tried to keep him, though they sold him off 2 years ago or whatever to join the Knights. I don't know if he's going to be the savior for the Cowboys next season. I certainly don't think he's the savior for the Warriors this season. It'll be interesting. I think that the Cowboys are lacking a fucking halfback, and they just had started firing Clifford before. May as well give him up and start looking towards the future. Edric has been out all season. The last game he played was the fucking Origin match last year. He scored the try in the corner with that Branko nearly fucked up. I jumped out of my seat. I love me some fucking Edric Lee. He grew up basically exactly where I'm sitting now. So him and his cousin. So Branko also hasn't played since that game last year, right? What the fuck is there's a conspiracy against these fucking Logan boys, I think. Get him out there, get him playing. I want to see fucking Edric in the finals this year with the Knights. Now the Broncos. Now, I mentioned this earlier, I was brought up to fucking despise the Broncos, want to spit on him. I very much am from Queensland, where everybody around me is a Broncos supporter. My parents instilled in me the great hatred of these fucking arrogant Broncos. And I've hated them all my life until they started losing constantly, and you just can't help yourself but feel bad for these poor pricks. And now they brought in Albert Kelly, former Titan, champion player, one of my favourite players when I was a kid, so I gotta cheer for the fucking Broncos now. Tessie New I like. All these young fellas I like. Jesse Arthur's another former Titan. So I'm fucking cheering for the Broncos nearly every week, and it's fun when they finally get one. This game wasn't as good as the fucking Roosters game where they upset the Roosters. That was probably the game of the season. Spoilers for my top 20 list if it ends up coming out. God, this game was probably game of the round for me, easily. But the Titans destroying the fucking Raiders was pretty fun. And so was the Knights game. But this was probably a competitive game of the round, even though we had 2 Golden Point games earlier. Fucking Connor Tracy. He's just like Corey Thompson, isn't he? He's playing 6, though, instead of wing, which I don't know which is his best position. God damn it. They better lock down fucking Connor Tracy, or the Titans better lock him down if he's coming off contract, because goddamn is he good. Tolman is also doing pretty well. Sean Johnson too, but they already sent him back to the Warriors, which was interesting. But Tessie New has been really good as fullback now. I feel like he was trialing in the centers for the first few weeks of the year, and then he got dropped, and I didn't think he played that bad in any of the games, and I was like, fucking put Tessie New in. He's going well, and now they have, and he is going well, especially now that he has even more responsibility at fullback. I feel like last year they played him at fullback for 1 game, and obviously it didn't go too well, so they just dropped him immediately. Katoni Staggs was obviously also back for this game, and he is destroying people on the flank, so this game was fucking fun, wasn't it? It was just back and forth. Fucking Ronaldo Militalo was pissed off and fucking shit up. It was pretty great. Will Kennedy is doing great. Connor Tracy is doing great. Was he really playing the centers? I thought he was playing in the halves. Though Trindle may have came on. Connor Tracy was fucking people up. He did get one over on Stags at some point, then Stags pushed him out of the way later. That was a fun little battle they had out there. I assumed he was playing in the halves, but maybe that's just because I usually see him on the wing and he was one infield, so I assumed he was playing in the halves and not the centres. Corey Oates, I think, was doing fine too. I feel like you have to have Corey Oates in the team. Just put him in the 17 jersey if he wants to play second row for 10 minutes or something, whatever. I feel like this backline is pretty good. Like Tyson Gamble, I think their best halves combination right now is Gamble at 7 and Albert Kelly at 6. Brodie Croft probably not going to be there next week, even though they won. Though I don't know when Albert Kelly's coming back. Carmichael Hunt is not really firing much. Albert, we need Albert in the team, right? Makes everything worthwhile. God damn it, I love him. He's a 6 though, not a 7. I think right now. And Tyson Gamble probably fits more in the 7. Tyson Gamble is always talking shit. It's fucking great to watch. We need some more Mick Innes's in the fucking league. And I like him there in that role. Talking shit and fucking taking the hits. Payne Haas also was fucking unbelievable in this game. Everybody's talked about that though. Reece Kennedy started. Aaron Woods I thought played okay, which I feel like he's been playing pretty shit for like 3 years. Just boring, not doing a lot. There you go. Rabadi I like too. I think he's pretty good. Especially he's coming in like replaced Ricky immediately. Ricky hasn't been seen. He was on the bench. I did know that one. I did see him on the bench. But just, people were talking about him playing Origin, especially last year and this year. And it's just like, he's really fallen off. Bullimore's pretty good too. Corey Pakes. They give him a start every once in a while. The Sharks are still in 8th. It's fucking insane to me that these idiots are anywhere up here. I can't believe they just like fucked on the Titans a few weeks ago. God, I was disgusted. I think especially Sean Johnson seems to have been playing not as inspired this week, probably because he has a home next season now and he doesn't really have to play for it. I don't know. This could come back to bite the Sharks in the ass, telling him to look elsewhere too early. But yes, the Broncos are interesting. I don't know who they have next. I think they have the bye. We'll look ahead in a second. But both teams to watch here. I always look forward to the Broncos games now. This game I didn't even watch the second half for. It was fucking like, what was it at halftime? It has the halftime 26-0. I'm like, I don't need to watch the fucking Tigers get smashed again. I did end up watching the highlights, I think. I can barely remember though. Poor Tigers. They were doing okay. Remember the Magic Round game where they fucking destroyed the goddamn Knights? That was fun. Dewey seemed to be working. Dewey still seems to be their best player along with Dane Laurie. Nofaluma was very good last year. He really hasn't been that good this year. Their backline is pretty strong too. Moses Mbai was working at 6 for a little while. His teams were falling out. Ken Mamalo, who could forget? A lot of people seem to be forgetting. James Roberts is in the team too. People were liking him on the wing. It's interesting. I feel like you have to have Joey Leilua back in there, just for fuck's sake. And hope he does something right. I don't know. The Tigers' woes, you're not going to get a fix from me. I don't know how the fuck to fix this goddamn mess. I do like Jacob Little over the Queenslander that they had. Simkin, right? Joel Ngawe was playing good until he ran into Origin 1 and now has been playing pretty bad since then. This dude is in the Blues Origin camp, right? I think. There was a Tiger that was brought in because him and Gutho were brought in because somebody got injured or something. Daniel Saifidi is injured. I know, again, we're going to talk about Origin in a different video. But Luciano Leilua, again, is like the Tigers also one of their best players. He's just real good. Dragons should have tried to keep him harder, I think. It's been 2 seasons. He played all of last season for the Tigers too. God. He's stammering around in these terrible clubs. God, it would be great if he was playing for somebody decent. You feel that a lot about Payne Haas too. Like, Jesus Christ, these both should be playing fucking finals football. And they're stuck in these middling teams. I don't know. The Rabbits are a big fucking mystery. They might get beaten by 50 next week by who the fuck knows who. I think they've got to buy 2, but you know what I mean. Their next game. I was convinced at some point they were going to win this year because it was Wayne's last year and it was fucking Adam Reynolds' last year. But fuck me. I would have, out of everybody in the top 8 right now, I think I have least confidence, even in the Dragons and the Sharks, least confidence in the Rabbits to get the fucking job done this season. We'll see, though. Maybe Wayne can fucking fix them up in time. But that's really the round that was. The games were fun. It was an okay round. This fucking game was goddamn boring. It was Thursday. You hope the Thursday game at least is always going to be fun. And it just wasn't. It was just a fucking blowout. But if we look ahead, if we can continue on in our schedule, looking ahead, I don't know if I'm timestamp it, but that's a good place to fucking end the timestamp if I do. The Thursday game might be another blowout, I'm afraid, boys. We've got the Manly at home against the Raiders, paying $4 fucking dollars. Yikes. I guess I should do tips, I guess. Don't listen to me. I usually tip whichever team I want to win rather than one I think is going to win. But Manly have to win that game, you'd think. The squad, do they have the team? If I click on it now, are they going to have the team list? Yeah, ins, outs. Xavier Savage? I don't know if I've ever seen it. I did check out the squads earlier. But Xavier Savage is interesting. Obviously, Turbo's out for Origin, so Ruben Garrick is playing fullback again. Moses Suli is going to be on the wing. They seem to refuse to play George Tafua now. It's interesting that Parker and Harper have both forced Suli out of the centres, which is insane, especially when Suli was playing so well. The fucking Eels team in 2019 got goddamn robbed, I'll tell you. They versed the Souths in that semi where they should have won, but they got fucked over by a sin bin, and then Daly failed to fucking drop kick it before the fucking buzzer went off. It was nonsense, right? It shouldn't have been the Rabbits and the Raiders in that qualifying prelim final. It should have been the goddamn Eagles. The Sea Eagles. And Turbo wasn't even playing then. They were doing really well. I remember Suli and Tafua, they were firing. Jason Saab now, though. Fucking the Dragons are useless, aren't they? God damn it. Just give this idiot some ball in space and he'll fucking score 7 tries. And they couldn't even get that right. Kieran Foran and Dylan Walker is coming to 7. No not George Tafua, no. Fuck, I said his name earlier. The fucking young half. Why am I thinking? He plays second row sometimes. I'm not going to see him if I scroll down because he's injured and not named. You know who the fuck I'm talking about, and I'll know who I'm talking about listening to it. I can't even check the outs because he hasn't played in a week. In a month, rather. But you know who I'm talking about. He's not in. Dylan Walker at 7 is interesting. You'd think Kieran Foran would be 7 and Walker would be 6, but I feel like I have confidence in this Manly team to win. $4 is a little steep considering Turbo isn't there and Daly isn't there. They're up front, they're looking strong. Sean Kepi. Ben Travojevic is in. Jake is still injured. I don't know. It might be closer than people think. Is it a good tip? I don't know. Should we be backing him? Ryan James is back on this side. You gotta love that. Former Titan as well. Corey Howard and Naira is really fucking shit up. He's playing well. I don't know. Sam Williams doesn't seem to be getting the job done too well. Matt Frowley, I'm not even sure who that is, but he seems to be the replacement for Whiten now. I don't know. We've got very interesting spines for both these teams. Hodgson and Foran seem to be the most stable members there. This will be an interesting game now that I'm looking at it and thinking about it a little bit more. Maybe the no-names from the Raiders are what they need to switch things up. This game, I might put some money on the fucking Cowboys here because I feel like this game will be a lot closer than anybody thinks. Because look at all these outs and they can function without fucking Val. They can function without the Hammer. They can function without Molo. I don't know about this. Blake Taff, I thought was a half. You'd think Cody Walker would play fullback like they've done a few times. Maybe even Alex Johnston. Maybe bring in fucking Mansour. But I don't know. And we talked about Assy before. I think he was the young half that they debuted against the Panthers who was pretty fucking dynamite. So we'll see. 2 young fullbacks here that are supposed to be exciting people. I remember Taff, I think he played a game this year earlier. Was he playing hooker or something? I know he was definitely playing in the Charity Shield and people were going on about him. So it'll be interesting here. I'm excited for both these games now that I think about it. The backs here are both pretty strong. It's got Drinkwater against Walker and Reynolds. Walker and Reynolds being there is a big thing. Dearden, we don't know right now. The forward pack, honestly, the Cowboys might have the better fucking forward pack. Tamalolo is there. Benji at 9 will be interesting. Are they carrying an extra? They're not unless this dude is a hooker. He doesn't even have a picture. I don't think I've seen this name before. Mago, Host, another former Dragon, and Liam Knight. Granville's doing good things at the bench. Lukey, Burr, Gilbert. I don't know. I think both these games are closer than people are giving them credit for, though we could see fucking 15-0 scorelines considering what we've seen the last few weeks. This next one is probably not going to be very fucking even. Has Kyle Flanagan played the Roosters yet? I feel like he might have. Or if he did, he wasn't playing that game because he was dropped. Is he dropped this week, though? He might be. No, he is starting at 6th. It might be interesting. The young man who stole his fucking spot, Sam Walker, is named opposite. Billy Smith is in. I think for the first time this fucking season. Instead of Suwali, who we'd think maybe would come in, Billy Smith was like, he was killing everybody in like 2019, I feel like. 2018 maybe? 2019? But it was like, well, he's behind Latrell and Manu. But then he did his ACL when Latrell left for the Rabbits last year, so he didn't get to start. And instead, Josh Morris was bought. And he was still recovering from his knee injury, so he really didn't get to play. So it'll be very interesting. You'd have to think they'd probably be looking to move him on, unless Josh Morris is going to retire at the end of the year, which is very likely. Then it would be him and Suwali in the centres. Though Manu's still around, though he might be shifting to 6 permanently. The Roosters have these problems of luxury over here, where they have so many fucking players. How long have we been going, just to check in? We are only at 50 minutes, so we might actually make our under an hour goal here. Jared versus Jack Hetherington, that'll be fun. Sam Verrills again, maybe he can show his stuff this time. Luke Thompson, Takiaho. Victor Radley's back, of course, which is a big thing. Josh Jackson playing lock. Ben Thomas, I don't think I've seen that. Doesn't have a picture, might be a debut. Dylan Napa again against his old club, though he's played a bunch of games against him. Lachlan Lewis not named again. Suwali in the reserves in 21 very well might play. It'll be interesting. Actually, no, it won't. I feel like I've said that about every game. It probably won't be. The Roosters should come back from their thrashing and thrash the Bulldogs. If the Roosters lose to the Bulldogs here, goddamn, their season might be over. They'll probably still make the 8 no matter what they do, but without much confidence. And the last game is the Warriors and the Sharks. Warriors are outsiders here. Fafita in, Will Chambers in. Will Chambers' wife was pregnant, right, last week. That's why he didn't play. Reece Walsh in as well. This game could be a lot of fun too. Roger against Molo. Not Molo, Mulatalo. Connor Tracy again. Well, last week apparently he wasn't named at 6, but he is this week. And I am assuming they didn't drop Townsend and he is injured, and that's why Sean Sutherland is in. But they just picked up Townsend and he gets injured immediately. I don't know, Reece Walsh is really the fucking... He's the man. Can he bring him home again? Matt Lodge starting. This could be fucking ultra destructive. Fanua Blake and Matt Lodge to begin with against Woods and Tolman. These are two smaller dudes that are kind of renowned workhorses, so they might have him covered. But damn, if that isn't impressive, Matt Lodge and Fanua Blake, it could be a fucking disaster. They could both get tired after 5 minutes and let in a million fucking tries. Or they could demolish everybody that stands in front of them. Bailey Surin starting the second row, I like. He's usually been like 17 or having to cover in the halves, I feel like, this season. I don't know, I might lean towards the Warriors in this game. All in all, I'd probably go with every favourite except for maybe the Warriors and the Sharks down here. If I was given fucking financial advice, which I very much am not in the fucking tipping or betting, but I don't know. I feel like both these games could be close. The Origin players are out. But we've looked ahead. We've looked backwards. We've covered some news. Should we look at the ladder a little bit? I feel like we've been doing this throughout. Considering if the Sharks lose, the Warriors go over, they'll go on to 14. The Titans will also go on to 14. Where is the 4 and against? The Warriors would have to win by a margin pretty big to overtake them. I don't know, for the Titans, it's probably best for the Rabbits to win, the Warriors to win, the Roosters to win, and Manly to win. I know, it'll be very interesting. I feel like the Titans might go up just by happenstance from the Cowboys losing, I think. And maybe even... What are the 4 and against? I don't know. If the Sharks lose by more than 6, we could be going up a little bit here. I don't know. We'll see how the fucking ladder turns out. But... I think that might be it for our first episode. I don't know if this was too engaging. I feel like it'll be more engaging later when we have a base after that top 20 video. I feel like that'll get some eyes on the channel. Maybe a clickbaity "Can Queensland win" video might get us some traction here. But as of now, this is just sort of the generic weekly show where we look back at the round and talk about things. Looking ahead, looking backwards, the news, and a little bit of an introduction, if you can't see from my outline here. But are the Knights and Titans back was the main thing. I think they might be. I think they might round out the top 8 here, and the Dragons and the Sharks might fall out. Especially with the Dragons' woes now. Sharks, forever, they seem to perennially be always in the final somehow, even if they're playing up the shit like they were last year. Where if there was 2 more rounds of the competition, the Titans definitely would have been there. Titans also lost that game against the Shark last year because Proctor got sent off from biting. Should have made the finals last year, let alone this year. But we're hanging out in 11th. We can't finish worse than we did last year with these fucking 2 big idiots around now, can we? We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's about it. So we did 55 minutes, it seems. What do I say? Gamble responsibly. That's it. We're done. We're wrapping up here. Hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully I don't lose interest in it immediately. Hopefully we have an exciting round. We'll see if we talk about Origin again this week. The looking forward next week will probably be longer because there'll be 8 games to preview and just 4 games to talk about from the past week. But we'll see how it all wraps out. At this point, this is where we do our outro. Do I do the same outro for this channel as I do for all the other ones? I think we do. So goodbye, everybody, and support links in the description below. Thanks.